Hello and welcome to The Hero Spouse. I'm Kenda Ruth, here to answer one of your questions about marriage and midlife crisis. Today we have an anonymous female left behind and forward moving spouse with a bomb drop of May 4th, 2019, a date of marriage of 1993. He is an off and on and a high energy replayer. She says, is there any hope or point standing? He had all the typical midlife crisis behaviors. The relationship with the alienator is totally at her choosing. They were apart for about 7 months. During this time, he was very depressed. He's on medication now and he feels better. During the break with her, he began employment at her place of work. They've been back together since Christmas. He's taken her and her son on holiday and he showed it off on social media. Our sons are 24 and 22 and they are very upset. I nicely asked him to please be mindful of his posts as the boys could see them. He told me, yeah, I'm sure it's hurtful, but life moves on. And he told them, life moves on and we all need to move on with it. His mom also just died March 1st. It seems he's really decided it's her he wants. Although I'm confident she'll end it again with him when she's fed up with him. I do feel detached, but I get hurt when my children are hurting, and I find it hard to deal with. Okay, so you still want to be standing. It has been 4 years. We're hitting the 4-year mark. And his mom just died, so that can send him spiraling again. A crisis won't necessarily bring them out unless they were ready to come out anyway. So just to put that in there in case anybody's wondering. Has he really chosen her? In some ways, it seems like it's a moot point. Because first, he's gone back to her and the limerence may have stretched in and out. Or he's gone back to her due to emotional blackmail. She said the relationship is at her choosing. In other words, she's controlling. That's emotional blackmail, probably, is what you're probably pointing out. And maybe when he posts, does he post because that's what he wants or because what she wants? Just wondering about the vacations and that sort of thing. Is she trying to antagonize your sons? Does she know how this affects them? Because he's not interested in caring. He has a point as well, which sounds callous, and he's saying it callously. But he does have a point that at some point, sometimes relationships end and new ones start. The problem is how he's doing it, that he did it in the manner with her, that it was a betrayal to you and to them. So this isn't a new relationship that he's out posting about. And he doesn't understand that part of it. He just sees it's been 4 years. They need to accept that it's over. And now that I'm with somebody else, they just need to move on. And he doesn't understand that you're not with somebody else that you started a relationship with after a break from leaving mom. You're with somebody who you betrayed mom for. And that's a big difference. So he's not going to understand that. You can explain it to him however you like. It's going to just shoot. But it is a truth dart that you can still do. I still like the idea of truth darts. I just don't want you to think that when you say it, it's going to make a difference in the moment. Truth darts go in and next year or the year before, after that, it might dawn on them. Or it makes a difference in the moment and so he stuffs it and buries it. I can't think about that. So you're feeling detached, you're just getting hurt for your children. And is there any point in standing? It's about what you want. And it sounds to me like you're very confident she'll end it. How was it going when they were on a break? He was very depressed. That makes sense. There's this withdrawal period. And I'm not talking about what Jim Conway identified as withdrawal coming between depression, or what I call liminality, and acceptance, what I call reintegration. That stage that he put into his midlife crisis stages. I'm not talking about that because I think it's confusing. I'm talking about when you have an alienator, when you have a relationship, when you have an addiction, there is a period of withdrawal. and he didn't make it through that, even though we were told often 4 weeks, but I think what we're told 4 weeks is sometimes the worst of it. But they are not over the hump after 4 weeks. If after a year they've been without this person and they see her in this, so they meet up. They don't plan to meet up. They just bump into each other. Restart it, reignite it, all right there. They might suddenly start to feel the withdrawal, and then they call each other because they saw each other. So, 20 years, maybe you're safe. Maybe not, who knows, depending on the relationship. But a year? So 7 months, I think you said? They were apart for about 7 months. It really wasn't enough time for healing from a midlife crisis. He's still in the crisis, and he was depressed. He wasn't moving through it. So, is there a point in standing? You tell me. And what I mean by that is, what was your marriage like before? Was the marriage that you had, is that something to stand for? The person that he was, that core person, is that worth standing for? Because sometimes the answer is no. Then you look at the risks. What are the odds? He's going to come back different. He'll be different, but will he still be in line with that core person? And what I mean is, let's say the core person is different, but just as wonderful, just as honest, has just the same integrity, just as authentic, but different. Or he can come back and not meet the standards of his previous core person. What do you think? People get stuck. Even those that come out, they get stuck somewhere that isn't matching their former greatness, or isn't matching the expectations of their potential greatness. What is he going to do? And it's a guess. It's a prediction. You look at that and you figure that out. And you might have your answer, is there any hope or point in standing? Because we can't make you a guarantee that he's going to return to you after this. And I can't make you a guarantee how you're going to handle the return process if he initiates that, or if the two of you decide to go through it together. It doesn't always work then either. Is it worth the risk? What is the risk that you're taking then? Are you putting your life on hold? Or are you detaching and thriving? If you're out there living your life and thriving, and you're able to set him aside, you're able to put him in the box, your marriage is in a box, it's on the shelf, and it's safe, and you can leave it there, go ahead. Be standing. But if not, if it's holding you back because of what you think it means or what it is trying to mean, then there might not be a point in standing. So I want you to think about what it's doing to you, not just your boys, because you detach and you be an example for your boys. You help your boys understand what's going on. That doesn't mean it's always going to work for them either. You be there as love for your boys. They are adults and they need to learn to come through it, but they need mom to help too. And you need them to help. I mean, we're adults and we need to learn how to go through this. Just because we're adults doesn't mean we know what to do in a crisis, does it? But I want you to make sure that you're thriving, because one of your main questions is there a point in standing? And then the comments about you just get upset when it hurts your kids. So I want you to work on continuing to give your adult children the skills to deal with it. And while you're giving it to them, you're enhancing and building those skills yourself as well. What are they? They're your detachment. They're your grace. They're your detachment. Remember, we have some non-judgment with that. They're setting him aside, and yet being there for him when he needs you. He's going to go on a vacation, and he's going to go on it with her, and he's going to post about it. What can you do about that? You can sit there and tell him you shouldn't do it, but it gave him a reason to come out and do a little bit of monstering at you, didn't it? Well, they just need to get over it. So if he's going to do it anyway, can you turn it off? Can your boys turn it off? Can they? I'm just not going to look at Instagram. How hard is that for 22 and 24-year-old boys? I don't know. I don't even understand the appeal of Instagram. I looked at it occasionally and I'm like, I don't know how to use it. I don't get it. And by not knowing how to use it, I don't know how to post in those ways. I mean, I don't get it. I don't get Twitter either. I don't get it. So I can't help you with, how to turn it off, because maybe it's their lifeline. Well, then what do they need to do to block wherever he is? And is it a snooping addiction? Because Dad's going to do what he's going to do. And he might do it as a rebellion now that he knows it bothers. It's like, people can't tell me what to do. I'm going to live my life. So they need to find a way to, when you set a boundary, you set a way for that boundary to be upheld, even if he tries to get through it. In this situation, that is, he might post, and he's allowed to post. The boundary is, I have him blocked. Because let's say, I know on Facebook they used to have that poke thing. Let's say he decided to poke you. You've got it blocked. So the poke doesn't work. In other words, you can't stop him from doing what he's going to do. And there's some things that you can't really set a rule boundary against because it's his business, posting his vacation. But you can set your notice of it. And that's what we have to work on, is how do you put the fencing around you guys? So talk to your boys and see what they can do if they're willing to. I know that this might be a really difficult subject for them, but when Dad's going to post, he's going to post anyway. And yeah, he's a jerk about it. Validate it. Yeah, we know he's a jerk, but you know what? It's not changing. Us telling him that isn't changing in behavior. In fact, he's doubling down on his behavior when we tell him. So what could we do to protect ourselves? Because he's not going to help protect us. What can we do? Take responsibility and accountability for protecting yourself, because he's not going to help right now. And you just let him go. Say, I got to let Dad be Dad. And right now, Dad is crazy Dad. I just have to step aside and he's going to do it. Okay? So some of this is acceptance of that. And it's helping your boys figure that out while they can protect themselves. I don't know if that's really helpful or not. I hope it is. And I will see everybody in the next question.